Hey, before we start this video, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did. Thank you! Okay, for this video, you're gonna get 2 Chef's Plate reviews for the price of 1. Today, I am talking about the Thai turkey stir-fry and the Spanish-style steak and rice. First, we'll start with the Spanish-style steak and rice. For this recipe, we used cilantro, tomatoes, onions, red wine vinegar, a red pepper, rice, mayonnaise, Spanish spice blend, garlic, and steak. Similar to the last Chef's Plate dish, one of the initial steps is to cook the rice, and at the same time I also cut up the vegetables, the red pepper, the garlic, and the cilantro. Now, the reason why the cilantro is a little lacking is because we actually cooked this meal a little bit later in the week, and some of it started to wilt. Fortunately, my sister hates cilantro, but I actually like it, so we just made sure to put more cilantro on my portion of the dish. Now, although the third step was to prepare the steak, they want us to season it at that point, but we thought that it makes more sense to have it marinate just a little bit because we like our meat to be very, very flavorful. So we actually did the marinade before we start cutting up the vegetables. Other than that, we followed the steak preparation and cooking instructions to the T. Just a disclaimer, we like our steak well done. I know that's considered sacrilege to some people, but just, don't judge us. So if the meat comes out darker than you normally like it, just be advised that there is the option to cook the meat to your liking in the recipe. Just adjust your cook time according to what the recipe card says. The cook time for this meal was actually pretty quick. The recipe card says it's supposed to be a 15-minute meal. Now, we discovered that that's actually just the cooking time. It's really just factoring pretty much when the stove is on to when it's on the plate. So for us, we took about half an hour for this one, but that's just because we were doing so many different things in the kitchen at once. After the steak was seared and the veggies were added to the pot, we had to finish up the veggies just for a little bit longer till they softened, and then it was time to plate. Right before serving, we had to make the garlic aioli. This was just a mixture of mayonnaise, some of the leftover red wine vinegar, and some garlic. Now for us, we felt that the aioli was just too tangy. We've had some good aioli in the past. It was too acidic with the vinegar and the mayonnaise combined. And also the garlic just had this raw taste. No matter how finely you mince your garlic, it just had a funny taste. For this one, we did, again, like our steak well done, and it was. But the one thing we really didn't like was the fact that this meal was supposed to be a Spanish-inspired meal, but it just didn't taste Spanish at all. Yes, we used that Spanish spice blend, but it was just lacking something. When I think of Spanish food, my go-to is paella, and it didn't have any of those punchy flavors that paella would have. And we found that the steak, even though we pre-marinated it, which wasn't even in the instructions, it didn't absorb any of the spice at all. The vegetables, however, absorbed the spice really, really well. If we could make the dish again, we'd just omit the steak or marinate the steak overnight. The dish overall was just okay. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I think it was a solid 6. Just the meat not having any flavor, it was quite bland. Also combined with the aioli, it didn't seem very restaurant quality, which is kind of what Chef Plate is known to be for. We felt especially let down just because the first Chef's Plate meal that we had was so good, and this one was just a little bit lackluster. And that's the final result. Next up, we've got the Thai turkey stir-fry. For this recipe, we used a red pepper, green onions, cabbage, coconut milk, rice, Asian spice blend, soy sauce, yellow curry paste, and ground turkey. Okay, the first step for this meal, you probably guessed by now, is to cook the rice. So this is pretty self-explanatory. We're not gonna spend too much time on this. Let's move on to the next step. This one's probably just as predictable. It's to prepare the vegetables. We chopped up the red peppers and we chopped up the green onions. We had to separate the white parts and the green parts of the onion into two separate piles. After all the veggies were chopped, we threw those into the frying pan along with the spices. Now here's the thing about turkey. We ordered this dish specifically because I don't like turkey. I think it has a strange taste, and I find that it can be quite bland if you don't season it well, and it also can get dry so quickly. So this is one of my try new things type of recipes. So I was very apprehensive throughout this whole cooking process. But it was surprisingly easy to cook, and it surprisingly absorbed the flavor pretty well. After the turkey cooked down, we had to just add the soy sauce and the coconut milk just to finish up that stir fry. In terms of cook time, this one was actually pretty quick. According to the meal card, it was supposed to take 25 minutes, and that was actually pretty true to form. It took us about 30 minutes in total. Finally, it was time for plating. For this dish, it was actually quite delicious. I'm, again, not a turkey fan, but it was pretty good. And I think it absorbed the curry flavors really, really well. There were no flavors or spices that were overbearing. I think it was a delicious plate, and we definitely want to order this one again. I think it's pretty safe to say between the two meals, we'd probably go for the Thai turkey stir fry again. For that one, I'd probably give it like a solid 9 out of 10. It was really, really good. I feel like if we tried this with ground beef, it could turn out pretty good, or even like diced chicken breast. We really, really want to experiment with this dish again. And that's the final result. And that's it, I guess, for the Battle of the Chef's Plates. As usual, if you'd like to follow my food adventures, you can go ahead on Instagram and follow me at Oh My Struggle Meal. Thanks for watching!